My dear brothers and sisters, welcome to our today's reflection. Today we are celebrating Easter Sunday, year 8. The one we saw wrapped in blood on Friday, the one we respectfully watch over in silence of death on Saturday, we now proclaim him risen, victorious over death. By this faith, my dear brothers and sisters, we live. By this faith, we are Christians. By this faith, we commit our whole life. On this most holy day, Jesus entered the glory of the Father. He is no longer tied to any day, any time, any limitation on this world. He entered into the eternity of God. Death has been defeated today, and we as Christians, we proclaim our victory over death. Jesus opened the way, a new way. Jesus crossed the dark and painful sea of death. Jesus made his Passover. But not only that, he did it for you and I, because he himself said, I go to prepare a place for you, so that where I am, you may also be. We read that from the Gospel according to John chapter 14, verse 2 to 3. Jesus gave us in baptism the spirit of resurrection, the same spirit that raised him from the dead. The resurrection of Jesus is also our resurrection. Therefore, believing in his resurrection is living in his resurrected life, living in a new perspective. Our first reading presents to us the example of Jesus, who went out in the world doing good, and out of love gave himself up to death. So God raised him up for our salvation. The disciples who are witness of this way of love, of this way of doing good, must announce it to all the nations by their example of life and faith. And that is what we see in the gospel reading of today. They have experienced the resurrection of Jesus, and they cannot keep that joy, and they proclaim it to all the nations. That's what we see in our readings of today. Our gospel reading of today confronts us with two attitudes towards the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The first attitude is that of the obstinate disciple who refused to accept it because in his logic, total love and the giving of life can never generate new life. The second attitude we see in our gospel reading of today is that of the ideal disciple who loves Jesus and who therefore understands his path. This disciple is not surprised. He believes that new life and full life was born from the cross. The second reading, dear brothers and sisters in Christ, invite us to clothe ourselves with Christ to continue our life of transforming the world. We see in the first reading the scenario of St. Peter, who announced Jesus as the anointed one of God who has power over death. St. Peter described Jesus as the one who went about doing good in the world. He went about healing the sick. He went about comforting those who were oppressed. Then St. Peter testifies Jesus' death on the cross and his resurrection. Finally, St. Peter draws conclusion about the salvific dimension of all this when he said, whoever believes in him receive remission of sin through his name. My dear brother, my dear sister, do you believe in Jesus? Do you believe that the death and the resurrection of Jesus is the source of our salvation? My dear brothers and sisters, we can see that this catechesis also represents somehow the testimony of the disciple who accompanied hand in hand the historical Jesus who went about doing good. Is your life identified with the one of Jesus who went about doing good in the world? Jesus' resurrection is the consequence of a life spent doing good and freeing the oppressed. This means that we Christians are also called to walk around doing good. We must strive to overcome selfishness, lies, injustice, and make love triumph in our life. The question we should ask ourselves is, am I resurrecting life by my Christian witness? The resurrection of Jesus also means that fear, death, suffering, and injustice no longer have power over the one who loves, the one who gives himself, the one who shares his life or her life with others. The disciples are asked to be witness of the resurrection of Jesus in the world. We have not seen the empty tomb, but every day we experience the risen Lord in our life. Our mission, therefore, dear brothers and sisters, is to witness this reality. However, our witness will be fallacy and empty if it is not guided by love and donation, which are the true marks of Jesus' new life. By being baptized, dear brothers and sisters, the Christian dies to sin and is reborn to a new life full of love and self-giving. Therefore, one can say that baptism introduces us to a dynamic of communion with the risen Christ. So we should ask ourselves this question: is my baptism a commitment to the continuation of the good work of Jesus Christ? Has my life been a journey consistent with this dynamic of new life that began the day I was baptized? The gospel begins with an indication apparently chronological, but this must be understood in a theological way. On the first day of the week, it means a new cycle has begun. Here begins a new time, a time of a new man who is born out of self-giving of Jesus Christ on the cross. The resurrection of Jesus Christ, therefore, dear brothers and sisters, is the energy that sends us to testify that Jesus Christ is alive, that Jesus Christ is really risen. We are called to proclaim that Jesus is the cornerstone of the new humanity saved by his blood. May the risen Lord be our portion. May he guide us. May he lead us in our life as Christians, that we may be his true witnesses in this world. I wish you a blessed and fruitful Easter Sunday.